When I make love to the rock from the blood. Alright, please. I'm looking for me, straight to his sleeve, he's spinning like chocolate sauce. Shield down, swerve, even do shots with fun. I promise it's gonna be enough. If I came to my heart, started my birthday, look at that brother. I got looking for sure. You just looked at that, that's what you do. Hello, shield down. Two people, oh shit, listen, oh shit, that guy, oh shit. That's right. Over, on your own. She don't even keep it true. They not in my body. Let's just keep it true. Right now, make some noise. Hey, what up? What up? It's bigger than you, love you. Listen, if you're fucking with Pop Smoke, throw the roof up. Throw the roof up. Niggas wanna do it, baby. Niggas ain't gonna hold them. Hit him up and get him lost. I can protect what I want. It's a balloon of love. It's still a very good dinner. I bet I said it to heaven. They take it, they take it. Move out, stop. I ain't talking about food. Hey, what the? Hey, cause I got some black ass food. What the fuck is on the top out? I'm not singing the phone. Just like, that's it. Okay. Louis V. That's Louis. Hey, with it. Niggas thought I'm gonna play with it. I make an action movie. Say it about the union. Okay. Two shots, talking, lightning, thunder. Yeah. April 2 They're trying to give him a quarter. I can't quarter. I'm a 10-minute gangster. Yeah. Niggas know they call me quickly. Niggas ain't no hope. Outside! Yeah. Let's get it! Niggas say they outside. Niggas say they outside. When the enemy gon' fly! Every night when we can burn. That's what they show they go with the smoke. Niggas say they outside. When the enemy get smoking, but he never took the smoke. Niggas like sweet up, pull up and pop on the shoe. And they say I got the juice. I bought the yard, now that's what I rock with. Groceries, hot boy, you ain't cool, you're top boy. We gon' turn up on you like a cowboy. I'm the one that they hit me like cowboy. Go quick to me, I'm that shit what they do with the smoke. She might be rockin' me, go so I'm piping at the fucking car. Niggas swing me outside. Send the enemy on fly. Just cause I pay, don't think I'm pushing the money for love with the stick. I ain't really bad to mention the flip. Give me a switch on my push. Oh, this is a person, but it's pretty high, I ain't punching. Are you good? I made like 200 in London. You ain't guessing these bitches. You cover shit up like you bought it. She never no drug. She know how I talk. She know that I'm outside. She know I'm the king of the block. Niggas say they outside. Niggas say they outside. Say that ain't no slap. Every night when we walk. Loving that shit when they go with the smoke. She like a good people, so I'm grabbing that bitch off the car. Niggas say they outside. Say that ain't no slap. Foreigner, I'm bitch up. Foreigner, and she not a suck it up, make a foreigner on the top, working on the top. What's for us? Make a one of us. I guess I'm smoking. Ice on my neck, All the work, yeah, I'm rolling. Talking, I'm screaming, I'm not really snorting. I'm a break going retarded. I need that respect. 700 grams, I should forget. Just all the things on the left. Thank you for showing it till it's still left. He is so good, I'm like, you better get blessed to the best. Nigga, get your bitch in the back. Check up, top of the chart. I gotta laugh to think it's true. Who these niggas? Who these niggas? I don't know. But I'm on good. They not me that who got it. Moving. 200. Pops like who shot you? Me and Trey, that's what's happening. Lay down. All you see is helicopters. Mermaids. Pick them up. They go send them to the doctor. I'm a little big engine. Revenue. Let me know. If you want smoke, it's black and simple. No bitch love. Go. Who like baby? Let me see. Who like baby? Let me see some. I need you to show them how it is with New York. Yeah. I said I feel invincible. It's 85 just to work through. Cause a lot of these niggas are cool. And I'm sure I got my home. I got percolated shit. I got a percolated fish. I saw this percolated trace. They know who in the city. They give you city. I'm giving them energy. I give a perky and Hennessy. I get 2 shots to the end of the one more I said I feel invincible. It's 100 niggas in the spot. I won't be through. It's 85 just to walk through. That's not New York, baby. And I shoot like Bobby Roode. I got a percolated bitch. I show this percolated tricks. They know who in the city. That's right. They give you that. That's right. Go on, figure these niggas cause niggas is gay. Open the place, from the break, all of my name while I'm in the crowd. I'm if I'm on the island, I'm stacking the side. $40, the nice down, until free. I'm with the hard. For all the stuff we have to pay for. If you like to do snake, if you need to visit, you can take one. I'm at the movie. That's what you should be on the go. She like the way. Shake it up, break it to the break. Feel it like money, booty, come sick. Money, put them up, put them up. Baby shaking in the way, she shaking the flashlight to see her face. And she looking like a snack. Working bag on the way. I better shake the room. Show them. Shaky, I'm a looking for amazing. Street ain't no chasing. Niggas be from hot till it get burned. I don't fuck with niggas, cause these niggas be shit. Niggas stay in your place, wait for your turn. Niggas and you come. With these other night, you was gas. Nigga, hold on. Man. Oh, 6.1 for the bacon. Juice condos, no condo. Cost more than your condo. We. But I said the proof. the party. I'm off the money and saving me. That's why I'm retarded. That's why I'm retarded. Baby, welcome to the party. I hit the booty up and then I can bring you party. Baby, welcome to the party. Baby, stay on track. Just let it talk. Do your head. Nah, I think you right. Let me forget. Don't play the last again. It's so fun. And that's what you get. I'm just ready. Niggas all killing niggas on my killing niggas. Every girl been killing niggas, my sauce. I never give me shit, but this bitch if I ever kick it. Ain't ready for a spin. And I know she's straight. I'm to the party. I want the money and some niggas. That's why I'm retarded. That's why I'm retarded. Remember what you did. You're welcome to the party. I want the money. I need y'all to sing it one more time. One, two. Okay. Hold on. I said I need all my ladies turned up right now inside of Albany. Let's go. Wait. Hey. Yo, Mike told I was got my thing. Who that was? She like the way I dance. She like the way I move. She like the way I rock. She like the way I move. But she really got money. Who we got on? Hold on. Billy King. Christian Dion. Show them the dance poppers. Hold up. She like the way I move. Billy King. Christian Dion. And what? It's on the back. Give me that. Oh, my man. Fucking good. All over the club. All over the walls and doors. Fuck it up. They know I'm one of the couple that I love especially. We got love. And I'm scared. I think free. I'm with the ass. All she was FaceTime. All the time we have to face on. You can actually do a staple. If you need to visit, you can take part. I'm a good man. See it. Oh, here is the boys. See like the way. That's just it. I can special myself. That's it. I didn't put it out. When I'm into the one from the blood. Alright, please. Catch him in sleep, spinning like let's go. Shit down, the surge, even do shots with fun. I promise it's gonna be enough. If I catch my heart, started my birth, look at that brother. I got looking for sure. You just hope to get for you. Hello, Sugar. Sugar. Oh shit, listen. Oh shit, yeah, oh shit. Over, oh yeah. She know we can put you. They not in my body. Let's just speak it to it. Right now, make some noise. What up? What up? It's bigger than WA. Listen, if y'all fucking with Pop Smoke, throw them roots up. Throw them roots up. Niggas on that road, baby. Niggas ain't gonna hold you. Hit him up if it's a nothing. I can protect what I want. It's a new one I want. It's still a very good thing. I bet I said it to heaven. They take it, they take it. Move out, stop it. I ain't talking about food. And what though? Cause I got some black ass food. Move out. What the fuck is on the drop out? I'm gonna sing it before. Just like fashion. Okay. Louis V. That's Louis K-Way. Niggas thought I'm gonna play with it. I mean, the action movie. Say the most thing you be on. Okay. Two shots, talking, lady, thunder. Yeah. And from the crowd. We're trying to give him a quarter. I quit, quarter. I'm gonna tell him in the case. Yeah. Niggas know they call me quickly. Nigga, they ain't gonna hold him. Outside! Yeah. Let's get it! Niggas say they outside. Niggas say they outside. When the enemy gon' fly! They were not when we could burn. Look at that shit, they go with the smoke. Niggas say they outside. Say that had when niggas spoken, but he never took up the smoke. Niggas speak up, pull up and pop on the show. And they say I got the juice. I bought it the yard, but that's what I rock for. Not for you ain't for you, not for we gon' turn up for you like a cowboy. I'm the one that they hit me like cowboy. No bitches, mama, that shit what they do with the smoke. She might be ducking me, go so I'm grabbing at the fucking car. Niggas swing they outside. Send the enemy go up. Just cause I pants, don't take my pussy to money for love of the stick. I'm gonna need these guys to get to the crib. Give me a smoke on my wrist. Oh, this is a person, but it's pretty high like punching. Are you good? I made like 200 in London. You out here guessing these bitches, you pumping shit up like you bought it. She left with no drum. She love how I talk. She know that puppy outside. She know the community. Niggas say they outside. Niggas say they outside. Send the addy with no slum. Maybe not when we were broke. Mother, that shit was they go with the smoke. She like to do pretty close, so I'm grabbing that bitch off the cross. Niggas say they outside. Send the addy with no slum. Foreigner. Rolling up a bitch, rolling up, and she not a front. She sucking up, make her roll up, on her tongue, working on her tongue. What's us? Make her one of us, I guess I'm smoking, blowing. I saw my neck was smoking, I'm busting, blowing. All the work out, blowing, I'm screaming, I'm happy like smoking. I'm a girl going retarded. I need that respect, 700 grams, I should look at this. Let's go on the police, I'm the best. Thank you for showing us, it's still up 3 years old, but I'm like, you better get blessed to the best. Nigga, get your bitch in the back. She like I'm still top of the charts. I gotta laugh to think it's true. Who these niggas? Who these niggas? I don't know. But I'm on good. They know me like who got it? Moving. So hard. Killing pops like who shot you? Me and Trey, that's what's up. Lay down. All you see is helicopters. Mermaids. Pick 'em up. They gon' send 'em to the doctor. I'm building engine. Revenue. Let me know. If you want smoke, it's black and simple. Okay, yes. Love is love. Go, go. Let me see it. Let me see some. I need you to show them how we did with New York. Yeah. I said I took it to the world. It's 100 minutes this It's 85 just to work through. Cause a lot of these niggas are cool. I feel like I was home. I got percolated shit. I got a percolated percolated. I saw this percolated trace. That's why they know who in the city. That's why they give you the city. That's why they city in the city. That's why
Oh, that was a good practice, right?
what is the composition? Alright, we're live.
Hey, everybody. I was talking up a storm to y'all, and y'all wasn't even in the house. My goodness. I know you felt me, right? So, good morning, and welcome. Audrey Jackson, a.k.a. Ma Smoke here, and we are gathering one more time to celebrate the life, legacy, and spirit of my second born, Bashar Barack Jackson, a.k.a. Pop Smoke. To this year, our theme is family, right? I've been using the words that were on his body because those had value to him. So we've been exploring those. And last year we explored faith. And so today we're exploring family. And we're starting with me as his mom. We're starting with motherhood, right? The process that I found myself in as a not a new mother, because by the time he came around, he was my second, but in the process of trying to figure out how I wanted to parent, how did I get to the place that I am in today, and how did I build my foundation? So before we do anything else, I know if you've been following, we started praying at around 4 o'clock in the morning for 12, every 12 and 22 on the hour. So I want us to open this moment in prayer because it has been a struggle for me. I show up as I'm supposed to because that's what we do, but it's been a minute. And what has happened for me is in this process, I have really learned how deep my faith was, how much I depended on a higher power, how much I depended on God in my day to day walk. And to have been hit like this with a loss that you would think he'd got your back on, really gave me a struggle with my faith and my relationship. But we're here. And so this morning, I want to open up our process in prayer. Say, Father God, I thank you for this moment. I thank you for this morning. I thank you for all the people gathered here. God, I thank you that you've given me something that they want to hear. So I thank you for sending those who are supposed to hear what you've given me to say this morning. Lord, as we start this process, just fill up the room, Lord, that we just ask you to be present and open up minds and hearts so what you've given me to say reaches those you wanted to hear it. Amen. All right. So we're here. How's it going? I want you all to get your questions ready because we're talking about motherhood today, right? We're going to talk about fatherhood in the future, and we'll get some other things going based upon your response to what you're seeing here today, right? One of the things that was very important for me was looking for culture, right? Caribbean born, American raised. So I knew my Caribbean culture, and I wanted to explore more of African American culture. And so you're being faith-based, you're looking at it in the church and how it plays out. So for me, motherhood came through the concept of being a Titus 2 parent, right? Titus was told that he needed to speak to the adults in the community, the adult males, right? They needed to give information to the young men and the boys of how to become men of stature and functional in their community. Same assignment for the women. Talk to the younger women, talk to the girls, tell them the rules and the norms of our group, of our society, of us as a people. And so that has always been my stance of making sure that I was being mentored, not just being a mentor or becoming a mentor, but that make sure that I was being mentored, that there were women who were seeding into my life, who were sowing into my life, right? So when we're looking for community, right? Family is in community. However you define family, whether it's the standard mom, dad, and the 2.3 children, the fence, the dog, and the car, or whatever it is you have, right? If it's auntie who's taking care of you or grandma who's taking care of you, whatever that nucleus in the house looks like for you, right? That takes place in the community. But sometimes when you want to be able to figure out something other than what you've been given, right? You want to find your tribe. You want to look for those people who are open to hearing you, who are open to having that conversation with you, right? To figure out what it is you can do and how you can do the thing that you've been called to do. Because your child is being sent to you, specifically to you, for the experience that you can bring them through, give to them, and what you've been through. So that becomes a key piece. And I've had some really strong women who were very helpful to me in that process. And I'm gonna switch things up a little bit. Miriam's here, and so Miriam's supposed to be towards the end of the program, but I think I want her to sit with me because it's kind of lonely up here, and I want us to kind of chat a little bit about just some of the brainstorming and the things we used to do as educators to make sure that we showed up in our classroom as mothers, right? That we showed up in our classrooms as nurturers. So come on in here, Miss Sister Miriam.
Hey,
Hi,
Sister
girl.
Audrey. Hey.
How you doing? How you
I'm
doing?
well. How are you?
Good, good. I've got some
Good.
little notes here, but you hear me chatting it up,
Yes,
and
I did.
I surely appreciate having you in my life, not just as an educator to show me how to create my classroom, right? But in that season when I became a mom and wasn't quite sure how to do what I wanted to do, you stretched out a hand and say, "Okay, girl, I may not agree with you, but let
But
me show
I'm
you how to
with
get
you.
it." There you go.
I'm with you.
Right, and it's the whole thing for me is for our women today, our young women today, to find their Miriam, right? To find the sisters that I found in my process, to find that person. You're out there. So, how do we encourage that?
I think basically it's knowing who should be in your circle, right? Because even though some people are there and it seems like they have your back and it seems like they have your front, your side, your middle, they don't always, because they don't know always how to come with the words that are needed for encouragement,
Right,
right?
right,
And some of our friends are, if they're not of like mind, then it's more difficult for them to give those young sisters, the right words of encouragement. And I think we negate the step of the mothers that came before.
mm,
And so the younger generation of sisters that are having children are not talking to their mothers. They're not talking to their grandmothers. They're not looking at all of the other children in the community. Because remember, our communities used to be very much about raising other people's children,
right.
right? And I grew up actually not too far from here in Bushwick. And I remember if I had an issue in school, before I got home, Miss Torres knew about it. Miss Flowers knew about it. Everybody knew about it before I got home. And I got correction all the way till I got to 270 Stagg Street from the beginning of Stagg Street. Right? And I think what happens is that sisters don't see the value in that. And our communities have changed a lot.
Right. I think the fact that we have this little instrument right here, which is absolutely marvelous, that you can be in Brooklyn and have friends in Dubai. I think it's amazing. But we need to, shrink the world a little bit for our young people, because I think a key thing, and it really, really for me was really significant, that I had women around me that were open to what I was thinking. It wasn't just, that's not how we do things. It's okay, that's the way you want to do it. Let me help you figure out how to do that. So that when your child, and at that time it was Obasi, it wasn't Bashar, right? That when he gets outside, he's somebody, he can function. Because it's not just what his mom had around him. He understood the rules of engagement outside of mom.
Right.
So, that was significant for me. And again, like I said, I guess as someone raised in a spiritual environment, raised in the church, as they say, you're encouraged to find yourself there, right? And Definitely. I know people look at it as, this place that you don't want to go and this thing you don't want to read, because it's those who are putting it forth are sometimes very condemning. But, there's an encouragement to go find yourself. There's a mother in the Bible or in your sacred text for you. You just got to find her. And then not put things on her that don't belong on her. My sister was Ritzpah, right? Because Ritzpah was a woman whose son was killed, right? And some other women had lost their sons as well. And Ritzpah decided, like, you tell you what, I'm going to put my baby's body right here, and I'm going to sit here through a few seasons until the government corrects itself. And that's exactly what she did. And she could not have done that without the women in her village, without the women in her circle. Because you can't sit on the side of a mountain, watch over bodies, and not get, not be fed, not be, in the rain and the. So the sisters were there. And I think the encouragement that I would like to give for our young women today, and some of our more mature sisters too, because some people come to motherhood later on in life. And at that point, you're still trying to figure out who you are and what you want to do. Now you've gotten this gift, right? So for you guys out there, does anybody have any questions for us? We just like kind of hear from the audience this morning. How are you all doing? We just glad to have you, to see what's going on, because we're talking about motherhood, right? To just have an opportunity to share our thoughts, any questions that you may have, any concerns that you may have. Because again, as we've been saying, it's that mentoring component, but it's also a piece of finding, identifying the women, right? The friendship in the female in your community. And I know one of the things that I found fascinating or interesting is being told that women don't like each other, and that we, have bad thoughts about each other, and we kind of propel that sometimes, and I don't understand that at all.
I hear a lot of that as well, and I've actually experienced it, and I'm sure you have too. Sisters will look at you, or someone will look at you and say, I don't like her, or she thinks she's cute, those kinds of things, instead of, oh, I like what she's wearing. That Audrey's wearing some fly stuff today. And then telling her that, and Audrey being able to say, I received that, and thank you, sister. You look good today too. Or I'm glad you were able to share that with me. I find it almost discouraging, because it makes you not want to relate to each other. It makes you not want to put that device down, because you don't want to lift your head up because somebody might take wrong what you say. I do it a lot. I tell all the time, when I see a sister that's wearing something I think is fly, I tell her, sister, I like that hairstyle. I love that color. Or you look good today. Now she may think whatever she wants to think, but if the spirit moves me to say it, then I must say it, right? And that's part of the culture that we have established as friends. Not to tear each other down, but to build each other up. And that's not always easy, depending on where you come from, where the person is coming from
Right.
themselves. It makes it more difficult, right?
It's also kind of shaky sometimes when it comes to parenting.
Yes.
Right, because when we're in public and there's a lot of shaming around motherhood. There's a lot of shaming around the whole concept of breastfeeding, but there's also some shaming around if you are having a difficult moment with your precious jewel, right? If your warrior is just being very much a struggler. Um, they're going to talk to me from my phone? Okay. Don't you just love technology, y'all? We here. Okay. So I'm going to wait for my questions to come through. But again, the whole thing about just being brave enough to support a mom in the moment or to just to smile with her, right? Because especially when you see her having a difficult time, if the child is having a challenging moment and you can see mom might be embarrassed or struggling to deal with something, to just give her a smile and just say, I remember that, so that she knows she's not alone,
Right.
and that somebody else has been there and she doesn't have to be perfect and figure out how to do all of that in the moment, right? Nobody has to be, none of us know it all. None of us know it all, and whatever little support or advice we can get from someone else would be helpful. And again, I try to smile at moms when I see, something going on. The other pieces too, and it's a little bit more difficult in society today, but to offer a helping hand. I don't have a problem saying, "Do you want me to take him for a minute?"
Mm-hmm.
That
is a little more difficult
because
times.
people don't trust.
Right.
But again, if you build your community, if you know your tribe, I know with me and the boys, we had Elder Hooks who was from our church, and we could just, matter of fact, Rob would just take them, right? And he said, "I'll call you well, I'm ready to give them back to you. Take a break," right? So to have that kind of an environment where you're not looked down on because you're struggling in the moment, with a challenge, a season, because, your children have different seasons and sometimes they're easier to handle than other times. And to have people in place who can kind of help you through that, there's no shame in that game. So let me look here and see if I can see that anybody's sending me questions. I don't see any questions at this point. So, what else are we doing? So we're talking about different types of mothers,
Okay.
right? Because again, on Mother's Day, my niece and I were talking about this last night, and I've had some conversation with some other women about that. That on Mother's Day is usually the traditional having given birth mother that's being celebrated, but there are aunties and grandmas, and
Adoptive mothers.
adoptive mother. There's Big Ma.
Yeah.
There's Magia.
Mima.
Mima. So those are all mothers, and they all contribute something different to our lives, right?
Certainly.
And it is only right that we acknowledge that, so that on Mother's Day or as we're growing as people, we're not just looking at one particular type of person who can sow into your life as you're in this season. Because there's a woman, and again, your biological mom doesn't have to be responsible for teaching you earthing.
And most times the biological mom is not.
Oh my goodness.
Right?
And that's okay.
Yes.
Children, youngins, just from me to you, mommy doesn't have all the information, right? So let somebody else kind of share every now and then. Let auntie, let Jima, let Miss So-and-so next door, down the road, somebody you always see. Okay. So, Aunt So Savvy wants to know if Pop was a seeker of knowledge. Yes, he was. So here's what one of my favorite memories of Pop or Shar is that he would have his laptop and he would be in the kitchen and he would just be on that thing all day. If he were a child that came up during the times when people had encyclopedias, he'd be
Yeah,
one
I
of those
remember
kids that
that about
read.
him.
He'd be one of those kids that would read the encyclopedia and then he would find things and then come and tell me, you don't know anything about this. And I'd be like, okay, so tell me what it is. So he was always, excuse me, a seeker, always looking for more information. So
And
anybody,
always investigating.
yes.
He was investigating all the time. I remember that time when y'all came to our house and he was in we were investigating the worms in my backyard. He was always investigating. Always investigating.
Always interested in finding out information about something. That was a positive trait of his. So, just keep those questions coming. We're here. We just, I've got one. Who's got my second? Right. Um, so back to the different, mothers, your birth mother, your biological mother, not always having to be the person that has all the
Right.
information. Because again, one of the lessons I've learned from being his, in particular, Pop's mom, or Bashar's mom, is that there's certain things I thought it was just understood that you would know certain things and do certain things, and he looked at me one day and said, "You didn't teach that," and I had to think about that, right? Because again, as an adult, the season that I was in, what was going on in my home and what was going on in my community were the same things,
Mm-hmm.
similar enough that I could learn at home and outside, right?
Right.
But our young people today are coming up in an environment where there are different sets of rules for each environment that they're in. And if you don't have someone who can help you balance that, there's a level of schizophrenia that may happen to you because you need to be able to kind of see a variety of things, but have somebody pull it all together for you. A place where that's your safe space,
Mm-hmm.
where you can then explore it.
Right.
Because certain environments may not allow you as a young person to ask certain questions because it's not cool, right?
Right.
You don't want to
Right.
appear too smart or dumb, even
Mm-hmm.
because a lot of times our young people, as teachers,
Right.
they don't want to ask a
you
question
questions.
because they think they're going to come across as dumb. All right, looking for more, looking for more. Luciano, 7PA or 7Pa. Did I say that right? It is difficult for me to listen to his music. And one of the things that I have learned um, is that's what they called in therapy denial. And I never thought that. For me, denial was he's on
Right.
concert. He'll be
Right.
back, next week. Denial is just not being able to clean the bathroom or not being able to clean up the room that he was in. So it's still difficult. I try to listen because one of the things I always want to do is when I'm designing programming is to keep the titles of his songs as the foundation of what to build from. But yeah, it's still difficult. It's still difficult. I'm working on it, but it is hard. It is hard. Um, Justin Angel Sanchez. What do you think about your son's legacy and how it lives on? It is my intention to keep it going. My whole process is that everything that I understood him to want to accomplish, I am in the process of creating and making that so. And even though it was a season where, as a teenager, he was, kind of separating himself from his the adults in his world to define himself as a person, I really am amazed at how much I knew about his dreams and aspirations, right?
You guys spend a lot of time talking. What are you talking about?
He was a talker.
He was a talking child, and you spent a lot of time talking with him about so many different things. I mean, our phone conversations about the things that you talked about with him was it was leading to where he was
And I
and where
think
he was going.
and I think maybe too that's that encouragement to parents because I think when we're raised, we're telling there's just kind of the history of stay in a
Mm-hmm.
child's place, and we don't
Mm-hmm.
share information with our children. We don't
Exactly.
talk to our children, and I
Right.
would challenge us as mothers to change that.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Talk to your children. Share information with your children. Even the
Listen.
difficult things, and
Listen
listen,
to your
Rare,
children.
listen, because just because they're young doesn't mean they don't have an understanding of what's going on in the world around them, and they may need your help to decode what's going on. So if you're not listening, you can't spot it and you can't hear it, right? So we want to make sure we listen to our young people and just listen. Just sometimes it's not even to answer, it's just to hear their voice and hear what's going on in their head and hear
Yes.
how it is they're processing
Mm-hmm.
the world. All right, so let me see here. I have something from Miss Empress. I would like to find out if you believe in the afterlife. I'm not sure what Jamaican beliefs are. Thanks for the love, Miss Empress. um Afterlife, is it after or is it a continuation? So that's been my search, right? That's how I've kind of that's the search that I've been on, trying to figure out what happens after. There's a way that growing up in a Christian household and growing up in church, you're taught about an afterlife, but it's not in a way that I found helpful when
Okay.
I no longer physically had my son in front of me. And so I had to go look at what other um, religions then, or what other faith beliefs said about what happens after you leave this place, right? Or what happens when you um, leave the body,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's the whole thing of this thing is just borrowed,
Mm-hmm.
right? And so you still live on. You're just not in this body, right? And that you're going back. So you use the body to come into time, and then when you leave the body, you go back into eternity. So there's a whole bunch of belief systems about what happens to you, and you really just have to define for yourself what you believe and what you want to believe and what comforts you, right? It comforts me to feel that if I wasn't such a scaredy cat, I might be able to see him
Mm-hmm.
because he's in another realm, right?
Right.
And don't send the psychologist and the psychiatrist after me. That's okay. I'm good. I'm good, right? But again, there are different beliefs, processes out here, and you just have to choose what works for you.
Right. I mean, there are many beliefs that when you reach another realm
Mm-hmm.
or reach another plane, that somehow that person that reaches the other realm or plane lets their family members know, or all those people know, that they love them, that they've reached there, and
Mm-hmm.
that they're great, they're fine. There are also many beliefs that children have not lost that
To be able
sense
to see that,
to be able to
yes,
see,
yes, mm-hmm.
right, or feel that that entity or that other person is still with us and good,
Mm-hmm.
because they still have that openness. So depending on where you are and where you're willing to let yourself be,
Right.
there comes that acceptance of the afterlife, or existence of another life before,
Right.
even,
Right.
right, that drifted into this life and now has created these experiences and will move on with you to another life.
So we need to just be open, and don't send me any emails. Just be open. Just be open, please. Um, Dominique, look here, y'all. This technology challenge that you all have me on here with his phone and questions. Okay, we gonna win this fight. Come on. Okay, so Dominique wants to know when did Bashar first start rapping? I think you all kind of know the story of being in the studio with his friend, and the friend fell asleep, and he got on the mic just to see what he could do, and when he got on the mic, it was a hit. So, I don't have a date and time, but it was that moment. I don't believe it wasn't like he was walking around the house rapping. And
Right.
first of all, though, he was always
Singing,
a songwriter.
beating a drum,
Right.
or
He was
something.
always a songwriter. But I personally believe that in that moment when his friend fell asleep, um, he took the opportunity to figure out what it is that his brother was talking about. Because his brother, right, Obasi is the musician,
Right.
is the trained musician. And Obasi was the one kind of seeking and searching for going after that particular dream. So I think he was like, let me see what this is all about.
Right.
And it hit. Right. So I hope that was a good enough answer, Dominique. Okay. Malachiah, did he write poetry as well as songs? Did he have anything to say about gun violence? I think gun violence is always an issue, but I don't think it was an issue as much as it is now, right? It's kind of a buzzword. It's a buzz thing. Um, did he write poetry? Well, I guess his rap is poetry, right? Because rap is poetry. It's a different form of spoken word put to music or with a rhythm. So, but in the traditional sense of poetry, no. But in the bigger picture language, yes. Musa says, do you plan on carrying his legacy for how long? Musa, when I give up the breath is when it stops. And I'm hoping that I will have established it enough in the land that when I'm gone, it's still being done by families and friends. So my intentions with the foundation is just like today you hear about Rockefeller and all those more standard, and Carnegie, Jackson, Bashar. That is my desire, and that is my plan. So it's going to continue to go on. Musa, you're gonna get me in trouble. Sometimes they do. Musa wants to know if the people in the industry check on me. Sometimes they do. Sometimes they do. And if I need to be checked on, I'll holler at somebody. But sometimes they do. But again, as with anything, and you're warned when that happens. Like in the first year, everybody's around you, but then folk go on with their lives. So I am left with my stuff, and it's my then responsibility to keep what I want alive in front of the people, right? Let me see. I said those are here. I think there were somewhere other questions in other places. Okay. What did he tell me? I think he told me about rapping the night that it happened in the studio. I think he came back the following day and shared it with me, and kind of shared the song as well. Will we get more music? Well, I'm here saying that if you have something, holla at your girl, right? So we can get this going. I'm being told that, people have things with him. So just let me know and we can talk.
She's putting up 3 fingers.
Okay. I listened to what went through my head as I heard his first song. For a lot of what he does is for y'all. I appreciate that it means something to you, and I appreciate that it moves you because he's talking to you. You know, he's talking to you. Um, so the voice and the message is specifically for you. You know, like Teddy P was mine, and you got Pop Smoke. But you know, um, that type of, oh my goodness, now the phone is acting funny. Okay, so but kind of coming back to this whole concept of mothering, and again, so the questions that you all are asking, my ability to answer those questions comes from having to having been in relationship with him. And no matter how difficult it was, right? Because teenagers are teenagers and toddlers are toddlers, and each stage is a thing. But above all things, I am his mother. Not was, I am his mother. And so it is my responsibility, it is my job, it is my duty, no matter how difficult the moment, to stand with him. And moms and dads, it is difficult, especially if you're raising your child in an urban environment and your resources are not there and the support that you need is not there. It's difficult, but I challenge and encourage you to stand behind your child. Don't let anybody throw you off your mark. Stand behind your kids because they were sent to you for a purpose. They were sent through you. Again, you've got to kind of look at what's out there in the world about parenting and the purpose of your children. Right? There's some beliefs that your children chose you. So they chose you for what you can provide, the experience you can provide for them. Right? Then there's the whole thing of that they come through you because they're here for a purpose, and it was designed, it was such that you were the person who could shape whatever it is that they're here to do. So you've just got to be able to, and it's not easy. That's why you have to find your community. That's why you have to find your shipra and your poor, your midwives, your doula, those people who are going to nurture you during your pregnancy and stay with you during your time of trying to figure out how you want to parent. And this for me was not wanting to be that yelling mom or that hitting mom, right? I just wanted to do something different. And I'm not necessarily sure where that came from. I just knew I didn't want to do that.
And I remember you being very expressive about that. Even when we had discussions when you were pregnant with Obasi about how you wanted to raise him, you were very adamant and you were very sure. And based and going back to what you said in terms of purpose, the purpose being that he came through you, right? And so with both being purposeful, that's what you were. You were thinking about being intentional. You were thinking about being purposeful. This is what I want to do. This is the mom I want to be. And this is how my child will be based on what I am giving, based on how they receive it. And so I know I don't want this, but I do want that. And this is what's going to happen. And you were very clear. You did not waver. You did not waver. And we had a lot of conversations about that.
Yes.
And a lot of conversations about how to support him and how to support them when it became more him and then them.
Right.
And each time I never heard you say, I'm so frustrated that I'm giving up. Right. And then rethink, okay, well, maybe I should have done the yelling and the screaming, right? You never rethought that. So within that, you produced two wonderful boys that became men, right? And each one of them had an opportunity to find their way based on how you guided them, right? The prodigal son, you guide them, you move them, and you think they turn away from you, But they don't really turn away from you. They always come back
Always come
home.
back. They always come back. Raise them up the way they should be. Let me see. Anybody else is here? Um, I think I want to bring. Let's take a break. Let's take a break. Right. I can gather some more of your questions, and we're gonna get a man in this conversation. Okay. All right, Yvette. So see you in a few.
Making moves entertainment. Fuck with the brand new construction. Like Clover, put that boy head on his shoulder. Swerve, give him 2 shots to be swerving. Burn, I promise it's gonna be a murder. If I catch him, I hurt. I'm starting my murky. Look at that bullet, you nervous. I got what
Yeah. It's your boy Francis Footage, man. So you log on to Making Moves TV. Tonight here at Pop Smoke. You know what I'm saying? Waterbury CT, Club Van Gogh. Shout out to Big Michael Promoter. Make sure you log on YouTube, Making Moves TV. Make sure you log on. Press that.
all of my dreams, sucking dick, all of my comments, screaming my name while I'm in the club, throwing them hundreds and fifties and ones. I smoke, they know I'm hell if I'm on the island, I'm stacking the food. Baby, I love, and I just feel, I see three. I'm racing hands, so my switch for me face up. For what it's up, yeah, I just face up. You like to do a stick up. If you niggas listen, you can take mine. You know I'm like that, I'm making one last day. Not sure if you ask me what you wanted, I feel like every like damn. You want it in my section, and I keep that 38 for the weapon. When I came with my confession, all the bad bitches in my direction. She like the way
Making Moves Entertainment.
she like the way that I'm
Fuck with the brand new construction.
Look, TD, away, 10, 6, shit, more. Smell like just shoot that hole, don't shoot that call, put the boy head on his shoulder. Swerve, give me 2 shots, swerve. Burn, I promise it's gonna be a murder. If I catch my hurt, I'm starting my murder. Look at that boy looking nervous. I got one in for sure. Right the boy up in the cup. Touch it. I jumped through the gate and just touch it. I made it through what's up. I took that boy to the cup. Ball back. Shoot blue. Oh shit. Offer. Then you got to beat the wall. She don't keep the shoot. Watch you eat it. Let's go. Then you got to beat the wall. Turn out like that. Whoa. London. Yeah. Hey, London. If you fucking with the moves, make some noise. Oh. We good. We good, right? Yeah. That's cool. They fucking with the mic in here. Yeah. Yo, it's been long overdue. Listen, ladies, if y'all love Pop Smoke, make some noise. I love this here. Let's see if they really been listening to their mixtape. We gonna go like this. Yeah. Yeah. Man, what up? Nothing, what up? Look, it's big when I told my viewer. Get with it. Niggas don't know we don't play with it. Big Daddy ain't go home. Hit him up if it's a knocking. I keep protecting when I'm walking. Hands on the wheel when I'm talking. Look, it's still a marriage birthday. I bet I said up to heaven. They take advantage of blue up. Blue up, smoking. I like the one else blue. Get with it. Cause I got some black ops too. Walk in, walk out. What the fuck is all the talk about? I bet I say up the world. Get straight, fashion. Zip him up, bag him. Louis. SB, shoot me. I bet he made the movie. I bet he got the goofy. Can you with it? Niggas thought I would get with it. I'll make an action movie. Raining, hard. Say the wrong thing, we got him. Okay, bro. 2 shots, chocolate, lightning, thunder. Hey, bro, just get a bucket. They try to get him a corner. Earthquake, corners. My phone, gorgeous. I'm the gentleman in gangster. Double G. Nigga thought it's only party. Hold up. Big Daddy ain't go home. Hey. Look. London is a hell of a vibe here. It is. It's a hell of a vibe here. What you say, you want to switch it up a little bit tonight? Hold on, my PTSD started kicking in. Just like my car. So, I think they like that one. Yeah, I think they like it too. My PTSD started kicking, so I got it. Just like that nigga out my car. I ain't no city boy, cause I love my bitch. Nigga with that with that. Niggas try to spec me up to now. I'm trying to be able to get you on out. Just like that nigga out my car. They know we been blocks, nigga, welcome to the bar. Not on the hang with his own daughter. Then I look ahead in that holy order. Nigga sure we gon' shoot back. Staring at the table like the quarterback. Nigga want to do every form to cooler than cool. Shoot. They can't want something like a mountain place. Cause I ain't going now. Shut up. Nigga open up the door, nigga, I know you wrong. It's 100 crip niggas standing on your road. Give up that cheese, stick that provolone. I ain't talking on the phone cause I ain't playing with them. I got a cake for the guns. What? If I call never blow. Call Jack. 1, 2, 3, go. So I gotta get high. I gotta get low. Cause I love my bitch. And I love my hoes. And I'm breaking hell. You are not my bro. Last one. Now I gotta get low. They know we been blocks. They go welcome to the party. Yeah. I like what's going on. London. But I ain't gonna lie, pal. I heard it was one drill song that got you crazy lit. Yeah, that's definitely. Hold on. You know, everything was lit. Yeah. I want to know if they know the song that first got me lit. Like, the first song I ever even made. You feel me? Your first one. I need that money, that power, respect. 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 I need that money. I'm talking to the real Pop Smoke fans right now. need that money, that power, respect. I need that money. I need that money, that power, respect. I need that money, that power, respect. Wait, it's big when I told him I'd be like, cheat you. You got to go to nature. Show them that dance, man. Show them that dance. Show them how we dance in New York. Fuck you talking about back out, Russell. Taking the spin on the morning. No politics, no discussions. Back us in that color. Color my block, pressure. Bring that people blessed to sing home. And we gon' hurt you if you touch it. Take the people up and study, they see what's up, but they don't get it up perfect. Treat yourself, let it die, yeah. Go get a breakfast before you forget session. What you know about fucking up sessions? 30 no weapons, gun kicking like that. Move back. Walking the party with 2 straps. Walking the party like who that? See the wrong thing, you gon' shoot that. Shoot first, shoot back. It's automatic with no pull back. Now they talking about nigga can't pull that. Nigga say I'm a bitch, I pull that. I come here blow like 2 nuts. Everybody know I'm not true. Guns get set up, you die, woo. If you don't like me, I don't like you, woo. I'm actually getting up certified. No one come out that burner block. I focus on rollers and paybacks. Small Tito, get to us like Rico, pick up the shells and preload. No, we don't go with the people. On the back with the chopper, we're just me and chopper with each other. We kill it the same nigga. For the folks that need to straight to the rock. We really just not the same nigga. Also 30, yeah, I play with that still on construction, I play with that. I don't care what you stand for, my thing get on the tip, nigga. Anyway. Shooting my getaway, then I go skate on the deal. Tell away. Already got that burn out because he blind. Tell away. No, I can't fuck you today, so you know what I tell away. Tell again. I'm trying to say, look, I need that money, that power, respect. 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 I need that money. I need that money, that power, respect. I need that money, that power, respect. I need that. Ladies, make some noise for Pop Smoke. Yeah. I ain't gonna lie, I never knew London had so much beautiful women. Like, what? I never knew they had so much gangsters either. What? Yeah. So we gonna do it like this for them. Okay. London's gonna do it, Pop Smoke. Yeah. It's my 100 Club bitch. Oh yeah. That's what we're doing, yeah? That's what we're doing, yeah? Who that is a monster? Yeah. Think about you all my guys. I'm telling you, I can be bullets to tell you. My body different, I'm born tempted. Tell track, let's go. Pull up and snatch your baba. Think about you all my guys. Pull up and take the scenario. I can be bullets to tell you. My body different, I'm in the born tempted. Tell Trent, listen, give it up. I don't know why these 50 niggas fucking hot. They be on 50 niggas on the seat. I got like 50 rounds up in that clip. I got 50 K with your beat. Put it back for nothing. Get a K back and break from nothing. The 90 that shit you said for nothing. Fucking run the big case for honey. Nigga, I'm the big fool. Big when I do. I feel like I'm wrestling with Larry. What the fuck you gonna tell me? That nigga shit. I'm better than you like you dead. I'm out there acting goofy. I'm out there acting goofy. I'm making action movie. Pull up the TV and I get. If you don't get it money in my head, who passing no friends, that boy's too bad. He about to go fuck up your girlfriend. I got 22 up in my coupe. That's the real school. He pull up, he getting the two. And he goes to who? No construction, but that nigga know. Pull up, he says shit, bye. We do not choose my guys. How it's gonna go? My big friend. Tell, listen. Yeah. Oh. I'm feeling your charge. You want to do a move checking quick fast? Hold on, Kenny. Just chill. Yo, I feel like switching the level though, you know. I heard you got a song with somebody. I wanna know if they fuck with little Gigi, man. Hey, whoever got my phone, record this. Pop Smoke, little DJ, brand new. If I want it, I'ma have it. If I want it, I'ma grab it. Cause you be lost. And what? Yeah. I'm in the car. Nigga, you can take the star. We up on the board. And we all in the land. And we all in the land. Look. I went to 24 images, bro, said it's never forget it. You wanna pop back on a gang with me? Sing with me. Look, fuck with brain, nigga. Not a couple of times I'm brain. Okay. Feel like I'm on the scene. You go down and stay in it. You send me that Look. 1, 2, 3. I make it call. Make it call. Nigga, you can take a store. We up on the board. And we all in the lobbies. And what? I make a call. I make a call as well. Nigga, you can check the store. We up on the board. And we all in the lobbies. You know what nigga love.
Hey everybody, we're back. I hope you had a chance to, get a bathroom break, get some coffee, some tea, or something a little stronger. Because it's a holiday weekend, isn't it? Okay. So I have someone on the couch here with me, but I'll tell you about him later. What you're going to get now is an opportunity to hear a gentleman by the name of Scott Harrell, also known as Father Time. He is the co-founder of Partners in Rhyme, and I heard him in May of last year, and he had a spoken word about, and it was a father talking to his father about what to do about raising his son. And I just thought it was so profound that I wanted to make sure I shared it with you guys. So you're about to hear Scott Harrell. All right? I'll see you in a bit.
Greetings and good morning to all of you, and blessings to Ms. Jackson. It is an honor. I'm humbled to be here to share and join with you today. I share with you this piece entitled, How Do I? I remember when my son was born. My father said, don't be afraid to ask, how do I? New parents don't know how to do this, so make sure you ask. 10 fingers, 10 toes, and a little nose. Beyond that, what did I know? So, on behalf of many new parents, I have a question. How do I explain to my 6-year-old when his best friend looked asleep that day but will never wake up again? Or how do I make a game of hide and seek fun for him again instead of a matter of life or death? Can you tell me how do I have a dance party with my princess when she can't dance, can't run, can't walk anymore? How do I play wrestle with my son when I must be careful of the pins and rods holding his arm together or the halo for his neck? How do I get my girl to stop counting exits when we go somewhere or being nervous in crowds with her head on a swivel? How do I get my boy to keep from hiding in the closet with every loud noise until I say, all clear? How do I make my little girl's first experience with makeup still fun, even when she's learning how to cover up scars? Or how do I tell my son his dreams aren't dead while making sure he changes his colostomy bag right? How do I teach my child how to drive when the car I learned on didn't have to be wheelchair accessible? Or how do I find a way to get them through the 4th of July year after year after year? How do I hold them when they're just beyond my reach? How do I give them words of wisdom and life they can hear above the screams? How do I knit together all of the thoughts and prayers to be a blankie for my child who doesn't want to go back to school? How do I find my child lost in cartoons again instead of lost in breaking news? How do I lead them into a peaceful tomorrow when I'm scared today? How do I piece together the shattered innocence of their youth when I can't even find all the pieces myself? If those questions are too hard, then please answer me just this one. How do I raise a ghost when that's all you've left me? Father Time. Thank you.
All right.
Hey everyone, I hope that was as impactful to and for you as it was for me when I heard that a year ago. You'll get another opportunity to ask some questions of Scott because in May or a few months from now we'll bring him back, and when we're talking about fatherhood, right, we'll get an opportunity to have conversations there because we don't want to leave the men out of this equation. So whom I have with me here on the couch is Mr. Angelo Maxwell, right? And I told him he's gonna be on blast now because he is the godfather of Bashar. And again, also as with Miriam, very significant in helping me to process being a parent. So Miriam was kind of more in Obasi's season. Angelo was definitely in Bashar's season. But what I liked about Angelo was that it was a man who was doing this, right? Because, as women, we tend to do this. We're looking for different ways to do things. But for me, it was just very encouraging to find a brother who was using non-punitive measures of managing behavior, right? You weren't just interested in knocking them out and yelling.
Most of the time.
It was we were helpful to me to figure out other ways of doing things. So I just kind of want to talk a little bit around just this whole concept of how to manage behavior, right? Especially today probably makes no difference whether they're males or females. But again, when you talk about young black males in an urban environment, boys in the hood, and you're trying to help them manage themselves, give them some value systems, but still have them be, I guess, warriors, right? Give them be themselves, get language, and monitor, kind of monitor their own behavior, right? So kind of share with us your perspective on that.
Well, I don't know if I had a plan, like any other parent if I had a plan, but I would say that my parents were both of the spanking and of the talking. You know, every so often, you know, and my relatives will say, if you were in the kitchen and you misbehaved, you got knocked in the head with the cooking spoon because she was right there, you were right there. And no, don't do that, you know, that type of thing. But also, my mom did spend a lot of time speaking to us, you know, both as mostly individually. I remember her talking to me individually, telling me different things about behaving and about herself, you know, things that you wouldn't believe that she would share with other people, like how she felt. If you know, she gave me one example one time. If she was watching a boxing fight between a black man and a white man, she was rooting for the black man just because, and she shared that with me, you know. So there was those things that I took from when I became a man. I find that, like you mentioned one time, you know, if you are in the classic supermarket and your kid misbehaves, I found that having them participate with you.
Mm.
I need this, that, and that. I need three of those. We can go get them from. You know, the kid might bring back five of them. Okay, so you take the time and you go back and say, no, no, we don't need that many. We need this. So having them engage help keeping them from misbehaving, you know, and preparing them before you went into that situation. Also, you know, okay, now we want to go into this public place. I'm going to hold your hand. And we want to do this, that, and the other. You know.
You know what I think about that? I find that
Mhm.
I like that idea. I just think that culturally, sometimes we as a people don't put value on. You know, you may threaten them like we're going in this place. Don't misbehave because if you misbehave that, so you put the fear of God in them. But you don't say, okay, we're going in this place and we're going to do this, and I may need your help to do such and such and such and such, right? And we don't realize how we're kind of training them how to interact in life because the fact that you have them help you look for the groceries means they won't have a difficulty participating later on when they're older because it's their norm, right? We tend because they're young and they're little. Let's just keep them out of it. Let me just do it by myself, and we forget that that's training that I don't want to say laziness, but that's training that disengaged thing that later on we're going, why don't you get up and help? Because we didn't train helping, right?
Yes. It takes longer to shop if you do that. It takes longer. I remember having my daughter help me wash the car. Sorry. When she was able to stand, she was a year and a half maybe. Come, let's go wash the car. And it took twice as long to wash the car because I kept watching her. You know, she would follow me into the street. No, no, don't go into the street. Let's go over here. You know, stuff like that. And again, she enjoyed it because she was there with daddy, just doing. It was just a process. You know, and I learned that earlier. Sometimes we think about the end result, and with them when they're younger, it's the process.
Right. I'm just because you know. They want me to do say technology today. But one of the things, you know, we're looking at discipling excuse me, discipling our discipline, right? Again, so what I'm taking from what you're saying is it's that you're almost circumventing or going around the need to have to manage behavior or punish because you're teaching what you want at a time when there isn't an issue. You know what I'm saying? I think what we end up doing a lot of times is we manage the inappropriate behavior at the time that it shows, right? As opposed to living what you want from them.
And you can't do that all the time because you can't know everything. Sometimes you have to deal with something after the fact. You know, and sometimes you have to be punitive after the fact. And you know, I also believe that kids need to know the difference when you are angry and when you are okay. You know that you can't be monotone, or you know they won't be able to tell the difference. They need to know. But yeah, it happens that you want to have to manage things after that. So,
but something you just said about you know having your children recognize anger because your tone of your voice will change. The piece for me, especially around with the gang, with all the killings that were during that summer, where I call them the revenge killings because this person said something about that person, and you got to go do something because they talked about your man's, right? That if we had more language for the feelings that's coming up for us, right, then we'd be able to make better decisions about how we deal with the thing that's coming up for us. So when they're that young, for them to know the difference between I'm angry with you now versus I'm frustrated with you now, and anger and frustration have to look different and have to sound different, and you have to give them the words for both of those. That's a lot of work, but again, in the end, you've got somebody who could process life a little bit differently, right? And as a people, we are sometimes caught up, whether we're American born and raised or Caribbean born and raised, we have a history of slavery and punitive discipline, right? And so a lot of times what we are now accustomed to calling doing good parenting isn't necessarily what's needed for 2024. It might have been good for the plantation. It might have been good for the, in the 60s in the civil rights season, because you had to figure out a way to keep somebody alive with a quickness, right? So you have to respond. Don't
when they're running through the street, yes,
right.
As opposed to when you walk into the supermarket.
There you go. So it's just being able to figure out in the moment which one of the, how you're going to do those things, because it's important. And when you're in that parenting moment, whether you're a father or a mother, it's how you manage all of this. So my point is, it's coming back to me now. It's that sometimes we're doing things, we're managing behavior because it's how it was done for us. And what we needed is not necessarily what your child needs, right? You still need the same outcome, but you're not necessarily in the same predicament. So you kind of have to maybe switch up on how you get to the end.
And it's paying attention to the child.
Right.
As opposed to, as much as yourself, you have to pay attention to the child.
So that's big stuff. That's big stuff. Monitoring ourselves as parents? What do you mean? You mean I can't if you're embarrassing me, I can't knock you out?
No, you go to jail.
So that's the other thing. So we're looking at not parenting out of fear, right? Because that's the thing. Like if you're afraid something's going to happen to your child, right? You're harsh and you're stern with them and you're strict with them because you're trying to keep them safe, right? Or the other piece, which I think is kind of a bigger one, parenting through what they say. Because they have an opinion. They are very opinionated. So
it's gotta be a balance, because sometimes you have to be strict.
Absolutely.
You have to set the limits, and you can't write on the wall. But here it's a pad and pencil.
So here's where I'm not saying we differ, but I remember a wall. My living room.
Me too.
And I just left the wall until he stopped writing on it.
Yeah. But that was okay until he came to my house.
These walls. So, but again, though, just being able to maneuver through all of that, right? That boundaries, places, some places you can, some places you can't, exactly. And so that teaches you another thing, right? That teaches you to kind of watch. Be conscious and be aware, even as a child, right? What you can do at your own home versus what you can do at your godfather's or your auntie or grandma's home. You can't do some of those, right? Because again, rules and regulations at different times, different seasons, different generations. So, and that's good though. It's good to have that kind of variety, so they learn to code switch. They learn to code switch. I think that's a good thing. Um, so that was kind of, I know we're coming towards the end. I think they have some questions here. Um, let's see what someone says here. Carisha wants to know if I think that Bashar would have transitioned into a sort of activism later on in his career. He was already showing it in some of his video and his music, and I think yes, because he was a seeker, right, and because he was raised in an environment where there were conversations about who you are as a man, as a black man, as an African in America, as people who are descendants of people from Panama and people from Jamaica. There was a consciousness in him, so of course he had an opinion about certain things. What else? All right, so let's see if somebody else has anything else. Okay. Okay, so we have a fan who's going to join and ask a question. Where's Obasi? Obasi, your fan base wants to know if you're coming on. So we have again someone who's I believe they're going to let him in on the live as a fan. So while we've been talking about motherhood, we've been talking about discipling your discipline. You've heard the different approaches of again the guidance and the people who were in my environment that influenced how I looked at parenting and defined how I would manage behavior. And again, ladies, because you're the mommies, sometimes you're going to have to just kind of let dad or a male figure do what they feel is appropriate, especially for a male child in the moment. And it's not always going to feel right. It's not always going to feel good. But what you don't want to do is have that discussion in front of that child in the moment. You and that person later on can then quietly go somewhere or loudly go somewhere else. But that particular discussion should not happen in front of the child, because again, it's a team effort. It is a team effort, and there is a theory that it says it's good to have both the male and the female at the same time, whether that is dad in the house or not. Because it's the example of a child climbing the tree. Mm-hmm. Right, and mom is going, be careful, be careful, be careful, and dad's going, reach for the next branch, reach for this. So it's that whole piece that's absolutely necessary for our children, right? It's not just, and we really want. That's what I say, ladies, to find your tribe and build your community. I was really intentional about building community for my children. It included their dad. It included my church family. It included the people that I worked with. I made sure that they were exposed to as many people as I could, because again, I don't have all the answers, right? And all of my experience isn't what's necessary to shape them. So that was very important for me. I think I see that my phone is popping. Obasi is coming. He was just here, and I think I talked too long. So I want to thank Angelo for being with us. Okay, so because there's no parenting handbook, did you parent the same way your parents parented you, or do you choose a different? I chose a different route, but I saw different things in my family. Right, I had an uncle who, was a talker. He didn't necessarily raise his voice. The bass is enough in his voice. And he would just kind of question you. Like, was that, what else could you have done? Was that your best? What was going on? Again, not so much as being your friend, but it's trying to make you look at what you just did and the situation you found yourself in. Here he is, everybody. You've been asking for him. Oh, Bossy, big brother. How you doing?
Am I?
You okay? I'm telling you all, he's been working his hind off, trying to make sure we got what we need to get done today. So we just want to
working. Can y'all hear me out there in the real world? Can they hear me in the real world?
Okay.
Y'all can hear me?
So they want to hear from you.
What y'all want to hear?
Well, we're talking about family. This theme is family. Today's motherhood. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice. Today we're talking about me. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice. Today, we're talking about mother. Be nice. Be nice. Be nice. But they want you. People are accustomed to listening to you and hearing you share with them. And they just wanted to just holler at them for a little. We're wrapping up, right? You get to close us out.
So what they want to know about parenthood and motherhood. They want to know how I feel about being parented.
Or family, because our theme is family. Be nice.
No, family is super important. I mean, I think when Bashar passed away, it brought a little bit more recognition to the fact that I had a lot of things going on with me. I didn't realize how much hurt we had as a family. So I guess when that season was really critical, I had to really dive deep. I had to look within myself and say, how can I be a better man? How can the things that I do influence you in the household and influence our family so that we can better ourselves in the future? I think the work that we are doing has brought us together. Every day is not easy, but it's a day by day thing. We're learning. You scream at me, I scream at you. We figure out why we screamed, and then we try and make it better at the end of the day. I don't know why it's like that, but I guess that's just life. You know what I mean? We're human.
I think so. I think sometimes we believe that it just comes easy. Like, you show up and you know all the rules to be a parent, and you show up and you know all the rules to be a kid. And like, that's why I said that one moment that Shar, I can see him now, he was going up the stairs and I said something to him and he said, you didn't teach me that. And I had to be like, oh wow. And so now I'm really conscious of identifying my values and making sure that I can say what it is I believe, right? And share what it is I believe and why it's important to me.
Yeah.
Right? Because then that cuts down on the argument, right? If I can say to you, well, I want to do this way because this is what I believe and this is why I believe that, at least it gives us a place to start the conversation, right? 100%. It gives us a place to start the conversation. So again, we go back to communication, right? Sincere communication, and being open to, one, not having the answer just because you're the adult. 2, listening, because we talked about this before, listening to your young person. It's not always easy because sometimes you figure you know the answer. But the trick, and it's something that I am having to learn, is to listen anyway, right? And it's easier when they're little people because it's cute and you want to give them a voice. But when they're grown people and they have the voice that you've given them and they're sharing that with you, now you're in a spot, right? But so the same voice you gave them at 5, you got to give them at 25. What do you think?
I don't know. I think it depends on the consistency. Like if you're consistently having conversation or in conversation, healthy conversation, whether the tension might be there or if it's a good conversation. I think if there's consistency over the years, I feel like no matter if it's good or bad, like it's going to be a decent conversation. Like there's something that can be learned. I don't think it has to be so every time, you know what I mean? But it's up to the individuals and the lessons being given, like you said, like Bashar said.
Someone wants to know, as an older brother, what are some positive things that you've instilled, that you thought you've instilled in Bashar, that you saw put to use as he became an adult?
Be a bad man. No. I think one thing my father, dad instilled in us is just take care of your business. You know what I mean? Like, make sure that every step you take is a an influential, is an important one, you know, to next portion of your life. You know what I mean? Make sure that you believe in yourself. Make sure that you are striving for greatness. You're not even trying to be good. You're trying to be the best. You know what I mean? And I think that's the mindset that I've given him and that we've actually cultivated together, because it was like each one teach one with him. You know, he was wise just as I had the knowledge to teach him.
Okay, so there's more. Okay, so we're almost towards the end, and so folks want to know what do we have planned for the year. So we start out today with this virtual moment. Tonight we have Canarsie Honors, where we're honoring 9 members from the Canarsie community, merchants, community members, musicians, you know, music, all the influences in a community. And again, because this year, I found out last year that February is Reggae History Month. So we are partnering with Jamaica Reggae Industries Association. So tonight when you come out to Casa 51, you're going to get a live reggae band as well as the DJ that's going to be turning it up. So, right? Bashar, man. So that's for February. We're looking at taking the women on retreat again in April. And then, of course, for July, we're looking at another gala. We're looking at making our teen summit larger. We're looking at Pop Smoke Day. Now, because it falls on a Saturday this year, we're going to have to be creative. So it's going to look a little different, but I think you're still going to have a good time. Somebody wants to know what was the most important thing that Shar taught you.
Me?
Yeah. Can you talk about without crying?
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I gotta cry.
Okay.
Are you telling people I cry?
He don't cry, y'all. He don't cry.
As a bad man, I'm playing. No, but no, seriously. One thing that he be yourself. You know, I think that's one thing he really but truly be yourself. Don't be confined to, you know, all the things that society wants you to be. Like, really explore yourself, and like, you have a talent, explore on that, grind. Like I said before, be the best, because I said it on my podcast not too long ago, but I was like, there was a time when he was like, yo, bro, you got your guitar, your handsome, this, that, and the third. Why are you going to school? You know what I mean? Like, go out in the world and, you know what I mean, flourish. I didn't have that pride. I didn't have that courage. I didn't have any of that for myself at the time. I just felt like I had to learn. I wasn't good enough. So I think that just to believe in myself, but at a real pure state. You know what I mean? Not no foo nonsense.
Someone wants to know. They want me to ask you about brotherhood.
They want to know about brotherhood.
And I think brotherhood is not just your biological brother, right? You could even play on the word brothers in the hood. You know, what's all that about? Because I think I've heard you on your podcast talk about some of that stuff.
It's just union. Just having the people that you could call at 3 a.m. and either cry to or ride out with. You know, that's brotherhood. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to always be negative, you know, but it's just that having that union, those group of people, those group of men, those group of boys, or whatever you want to call the males, that really can influence you to be better, you know, every step you take. You know what I'm saying? Y'all getting great together. Y'all can eat together. Y'all can make money together. You can lean on each other's shoulder when times get hard. You know, like you said, it doesn't have to be family. It could be people in the hood. It could be people from around the way. It could be your cousin. It could be dude from across the states. You know what I mean? It could be anybody. It's about the connection.
Right, because I think we sometimes we're so isolated, right? That we're no longer looking for community. Because if I look at you, you think I'm judging you, or you're, you know. So it's hard sometimes to create community because we're so closed up and fearful about what we think someone's going to see when they're looking at us. But it's just, you know, that same head nod, you know, and start a conversation. Because, you know, you nod every morning. One morning, you know, say, what's up?
I ain't gonna lie, some people taking that the wrong way nowadays. This times is hard. 2024, it's hard in these times. You do that to somebody the other day, you might get punched in your face. Somebody might take it, what you looking at?
Exactly.
I can't do that.
Right.
Nah, sometimes I do. I still do it. There's a lot of people who still respect the head nod, though.
So how do we create family, right? Because sometimes if you don't have the nuclear, the traditional mom and dad at home type thing, and you got to kind of go outside of that to find friends and others who would nurture you that way. How do you do that now when you can't talk to somebody?
You got to be the change. When
so you got to take the chance.
Like, I'm not perfect. But if I go outside and I see Granny walking down the block, good morning. It's those little things, the things that y'all used to go through. Like, nobody's carrying nobody groceries to nobody's house no more. Nobody's helping the lady across the street. They're not in union. So you just got to be the one for the change. You got to be like, good morning, how are you? Open the door. You're welcome. It's simple as that. Just the little things. And then step by step, that person will remember that, oh, somebody did something nice for me today. Maybe I should do it for them. You know?
It's that taking that moment to, again, but as I was saying before with Miriam, is taking that moment to compliment a mom if you see her doing something good, or just acknowledging her in the moment of whatever she's doing. And then again with your sister, letting her know you see her in a positive light. Again, the same thing, if you're building community, is to acknowledge the people on your block. Like, if you see them every day, these are people who walk up and down your block. I mean, the whole concept of living in a building and like not talking to the person in the apartment next door to you or the apartment across the hall from you makes no sense.
That's crazy.
Makes no sense. Like, who's going to tell somebody you're missing?
That's what I'm saying.
Those are the kind of things I think about.
People so closed off. People so closed off.
Okay. More questions. How was his relationship with the dad? I think they had, like any father-son, they had their issues. Bashar's issue,
Yeah, they used to ride out.
Yeah.
They used to ride out together. Picked up from school, go get food, eat, and all that.
There you go. And be the one. Now, the piece that I learned after the fact, that he would, like even as he was traveling and doing concerts, he would come through and just go stop by his dad and all that kind of stuff. So there, look here, nobody's perfect, right? No family is perfect. And as a parent, as the adult, your kids at a certain point want to distance themselves from you because they got to figure out who they are, right? And that's a season when, all sort of stuff is breaking loose because they're going to distance themselves from you and go hang out with their friends and go figure out what life is outside from what you've taught them. But again, I'm saying to you parents, you hold on to your children because this too shall pass. It has to. It's a part of their process. And if you let go when you're supposed to hold on, where do they come back to? When they go out into the ocean to go see what's out there, and they're supposed to come back in and refresh. If you've let go, what happens? Right? So nobody's perfect. Our lives aren't perfect. I am intentional about working on stuff, right? And the struggle is real. But I am intentional about putting the work in, and I think that's the best you can do, is be intentional, be on purpose about what it is you want to accomplish and what it is you want to do, and set out doing it, and don't allow yourself to be discouraged. I think that's one of the things that I kind of learned from being Shar's mom, is that he was so intentional about what he wanted to do. If he wanted to do it, he made up his mind and he went and he got the information of what he needed to do. But then again, that's kind of who I am. So every now and then I have to recognize myself in my children. Right? And that's the part too that we've got to look at. When you are struggling with your child, who is in front of you? Is that your stuff coming out of their mouth? Is that your stuff coming through their attitude? Right? Look at that. And then look at self. And then have the conversation. Again, always trying to be in conversation. You heard Angelo say it about including them and talking to them and kind of sharing you with them. Right? So that they don't feel that they can't come to you and talk to you, or that your life is such a secret that they can't access it. All right. So let me take a last few. What's here? Dominique, yes, he did have aspirations outside of the music. The music was a means to an end. It was a means of getting the dollars together to become an entrepreneur. Right? That's really where he was going with it. He wanted to be an entrepreneur, a businessman. We explored various types of things. He wanted to have an online e-commerce type of environment where he was selling, bringing things from out of the country and having things sold online. So he was definitely about being an entrepreneur. Um, did you use music to cope? That's from Moses.
Did I use music to cope? So bad that I'm on like, yeah, I did. I did. I did. And like any drug, I had to put it down for a second. You know what I'm saying? That's how much I burnt myself out. I'm not gonna lie. And I'm getting back into it, but yeah. And I felt like I had to fill his footsteps a little bit. You know what I mean? Like he was so big, and I realized I was chasing something that I just had to be myself. That's why I said the greatest gift that he gave me before he left with that conversation in the room, huh? You know, and just him talking to us, because it's like, yo, bro, be who you're supposed to be. Because I was drowning, but the music did help. The release from the music definitely did help. It wasn't very bad, but it was just so much that I kind of lost why I was doing music. I was just doing music to just feel, you know, just doing anything to make a song instead of like letting it really come from my soul.
Okay. So I think you've been hearing the impact he's had on our lives. But I'm gonna let Obasi read the other one to see how he wants this one, last one right down here.
I can't read.
Oh Lord. Did you see it?
No, I'm playing. I can read.
Oh.
I graduated college.
This last one.
Okay. Obasi, okay. Is there anything you wish you could have fixed with Bashar? Me and my brother fell out a few days before his passing. Would love the advice. Oh yeah. I think for me, the best advice to give to you to get over it is just pray, and just every time you feel something, dive deep and try and figure out what triggered you. But yeah, I had some things. We weren't perfect, and let me read that again so I could really give him the good answer. Yeah, man, like a lot of things I could have fixed. Yeah, before I start just going on a tangent. Yeah, it's a lot of things I could have fixed, and my mom always tells me, yo, you was young and da 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 da, and I'm just like, I don't know. I feel conflicted because in my heart sometimes I feel like okay. In theory, ride for your bro, but back then I felt like I had a certain mindset. I didn't want to be out in the street. I didn't want to do too much, so certain things conflicted with my morals. And sometimes I say to myself, bro, you should have just went outside. You should have just did certain things. You should have just did the fights. You should have just went through all the arguments with him. You shouldn't have distanced yourself away from him when y'all had tension. You should have just, you know what I'm saying? But my mom was like, no, y'all needed the space. Everything happens for a reason, right? But I'm like, nah, I felt like I should have just fought the fight. Fought the fight, excuse me. Because not fighting, I felt like pushing away. I felt like he wanted that fight, like somebody was fighting for him. And I didn't give that to him. But as we started getting older, we started talking things out. We started relating on certain thoughts and ideals that we shared. And the best way to get over that since your bro passed is really just what I said, man. Just keep diving deep and pray and just be thankful that you had those moments, because they're gone now, and you're here to live on for them. So you have to be the best you could possibly be, so that they can live on. That's your legacy now to carry.
That's good. That's good. I don't see too many more. Thank you all so much for being with us today. And sir,
it's your boy Bashar from the Flossy Triple D. Free mind, move aside. I ain't got time for the lies. We out here.